last classes that we did. Remember the last classes we did? We're just dealing with the usul, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the first 10 questions end that book and actually start every chapter. Anything you study in the world, everything you study in the world should start with what? Should start with what? The first 10 questions. No matter what. Name a subject, any subject. Science is too general. Give me a science. Give me a
Biology.
biology. Whatever science. If you take biology, fen or art, that we study has to start with its full name. What's the name of it?
Biology.
Okay, what does that mean?
Study of.
The study of life and definition, right? Status of the Inquisition. What's the status in society for studying biology? Is it a high status? Is it a low status? Is it mediocre? You know, it's up in the higher rank to be a scientist, right? So then it has a high status. Subject matter. What's the subject matter? Everything that's alive, right? Living. You get my point? What's the benefit? Well, you can become a doctor. You can become someone who helps the economy. Not the economy. What is it?
Environment.
Environment. I knew it was an E word. You know, you guys get my point?
Nah.
So, you know, it's founded. Who founded the study of biology? Well, I don't know. But we can find out how it developed over time. What people thought and what people understand and know now. Right? So that's like a chronology of it. So it gives you a general idea. How it connects with other arts. How is it connected to physics? Okay? How is it connected to chemistry? Those are the other two sciences, right? And then geology is the fourth science. Those are the only four sciences. And everything else is a sub or connected science from those four. Right? So how it connects with those other arts, what are the major issues in biology, and what are all the parts that are studied in there? That's how we get it. What are the guidelines that we use when we're starting to utilize this, and what are the Islamic rules that govern it? You get my point?
Nah.
No matter what the science is, you guys pay attention here. Hey, get off your stomach. Sit up and look over here. Whatever the science is, we can use this as a template to start with. Does that make sense? Now listen, there is no such thing as a secular science. We use this term all the time. Is it Islamic, or is it everything is Islamic? Everything. Because it's not what you're studying, it's what the reason why you're studying it. What are you going to do with it? And everything we get, we're going to use it in an Islamic fashion. Does that make sense?
No.
You can't learn tafsir if you don't know the basic sciences. Because Allah talks about the universe expanding. Allah says, "Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi la ayat wa ikhtilafi al-layli wan nahari la ayatin li ulil albab." That in the creation of the cosmos and the earth and the changing of the night and day are signs for ulil albab, for people who get the gist of it, to understand what's going on. So there in that is a direct plug that you need to know science. You need to know what is the changes of the day. What is the cosmos and the earth? You get my point?
Nah.
So, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Now let's use this for what our purpose is today. Our purpose is to learn Arabic. Now, I'm going to tell you things here, and I want you to pay attention. Number one, you girls, stand up. Face this way. Close your books. You're not supposed to be reading another book. All you girls, stand up over there. Turn around and stand up. Face this way. You cannot, let me start this again. We are not here to study Arabic. Say that.
We are not here to study Arabic.
We are here to learn how to speak Arabic.
We are here to learn how to speak Arabic.
There is a real difference with those two. And the problem that most people have is they've tried to interweave studying Arabic with speaking Arabic. They get lost in one. Drink with your right hand, sir. They get lost in one and go to the other one, and procrastinate with one and then go to the other one. You know what people do when they start learning how to speak a language? They get embarrassed and then they start studying the language, pretending like they're still learning it. Now, you may be learning something about the language, but that's not going to help you speak it right away. What we're going to focus on is speaking it right away. Does everybody understand that?
No.
Now, when you're finished learning how to talk and have a basic conversations, then we can learn and study the language. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. Henna, تعالي هنا. هيا اجري تعالي. هيا أسرع. Henna. Say, my name is Henna. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. It's not working. تعال هارون. Now, how old are you, boy? I'm 8 years old. Okay. Now, do you think he knows grammar? I'm asking you guys a question.
Khalilin.
Very, very little, right?
No.
You know what an adjective? Do you know what an adjective is?
Simple.
You get my point? Does he have to know what prepositional clause is? That's right, and you don't have to. But he can have a full conversation with everybody in the room, right? In multiple languages, right? Does he need to know what an adjective is in a prepositional clause? No? An adverb? A subjective sentence? No? Okay, no, thank you. Bismillah. Jazakallah khair. Say thank you, Harun.
Shukran, Harun.
All right. Now, what's my point by doing that? To embarrass my son? No, not to embarrass my son, but to make you guys reflect. Okay? You don't need to know what a اسم فعل حرف جاء لمعنى فالاسم بالخفض وبالتنوين أو بدخول يعرف فقط ما قطع وبدخول في الخفض وهي من إلى وعن وفي وربا والباء وعلى والكاف واللام واو وتا ومذ ومنذ ولعل حتى. That's when we study the language. You get my point? When we study the language, then we learn all those classical poetry on the language. That's on أجرمية. We have لامية بفعل فعل ذو التجريد أو فعل يأتي ومكسور عين أو على فعل. Who cares? You get my point?
No.
The person speaking does not care. The person in the street that you're going to run into in Medina or in Mecca when you're trying to talk to them in Arabic, they're not going to know what that is either. They don't care. Shinu. You know what I'm saying? Shoot that. Right? They're not going to say that to you. Mishuna. Right? They're talking just like somebody in Brownsville is talking. English to you. Now I mean?
Nah, I mean.
You get my point, guys, though? No. And they're not wrong, because that's the speech of the regular person. Okay? And Allah is not telling us all that we have to be scholars in Arabic. He's telling us that all the believers do have to be conversational, basic level, enough to understand the Quran. The objective with the Quran is to get us to understand how to worship Allah. You think he used high-level language that's going to make only an intellectual can understand it? The beauty and the miracle of the Quran is that the Bedouin could understand it. The Bedouin with no experience except for nature. You get my points? And at the same time, the highest educated one will appreciate it and love it. And find, that's a miracle. When on both spectrums, both ends of the spectrum can both appreciate it greatly. And everybody in between. That's the miracle of the Quran. Does everybody understand that?
No.
Okay, so it's not trying to make it like this so you can't understand it. It's made it easy so everyone to understand. Allah swears. He says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. What does it mean? He says, وَلَقَدْ, meaning I swear by Allah, I have already made it already. It's done. I've already made the Quran easy for you to remember. But is there anybody that's going to take advantage of that? Who's going to step up and remember it? You get the point? So, our objective is here to learn how to talk. Everybody follow me? Yeah. We're going to stick to that objective. If, inshallah, you do your part, inshallah ta'ala, we will be speaking Arabic even before we leave here today. Okay? Now let's break it down. Whatever science, fen, or art. Say it.
Whatever science, fen, or art.
Science, it means fen. Art means fen too. Fen means art or science. Any subject or discipline that you're going to follow. Kung Fu is a fen. Okay? No. Teaching is a fen. Selling, buying and selling is a fen. Camera work is a fen. Hair is a fen. Okay? No, it is a big science. You know those guys got to go to scout school, right? So they do. They gotta go to a whole bunch of school for that. Ask the ladies too. You know, it's an art. Okay? So, alhamdulillah, there's everything you do. That cooking is a fen, right? You were gonna say that, right? It is. Because you gotta make it taste good and be nutritious. That we study has to start, must start. Okay? If you're writing down, has to means must start. If you're going to do it smart, okay? If you're going to study it wisely, you want to go in through the door. You don't want to go around, and never get nowhere in it. But if you start off with here, you'll have a basic understanding of what you're getting involved with. With its full name, say it.
With its full name.
Now the full name of this science is Lughatul Arabiya.
Lughatul Arabiya.
Lughatul Arabiya.
Lughatul Arabiya.
If we want to translate it, the language of Arab. Now listen how we break it down. Lugha is just the verbal mode of communicating. Get my point? Say it.
Lugha. Verbal mode of communicating.
The verbal mode of communicating.
The verbal mode of communicating.
Arab.
Arab
is a people.
is a people.
Very important rule. Because we're talking the language, the verbal mode that the Arabs spoke. So from that we get a very important principle. It's called Hakada Sumi al-Arab. Say it.
Hakada Sumi al-Arab.
Sumi al-Arab.
Sumi al-Arab.
This is how we heard the Arabs saying it. That's what it means. This is how we found the Arabs or heard the Arabs saying it. So we don't say it the way we say it in Brooklyn. We say it the way the Arabs say it. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So, if the language of the Arabs, that's what we're talking about, the name. The definition is the Arabs are a group of people, right? Mm-hmm. So, when we talk about the language of that group of people, we're talking about how they verbalize their agrad, the things that their objectives, the things that they wanted from each other, the things that they needed from each other. Does everybody follow me?
No.
That means there's only two types of questions, two types of statements that they ever made. Statements that were statements of fact, right? Everybody follow me?
Yeah.
And statements that were not statements of fact, like questions. Okay? So everybody follow that?
Yeah.
So these are the two types of statements that you'll always find in any language. Only two types. Factual, or questions, or things like that, like amazements, things that cannot be determined to be true or false in and of itself. What an amazing day it is today. Can that be true or false to everybody here? No, you can't determine that. It's up to me. I drove here. That's a fact. What time is it? That's a question. Right? It can't be determined as true or false. There are no other types of statements in the world. So we're going to learn how to do that. That's called balagha. Okay? So we're starting at the end and coming in the middle. Because people sometimes say, where does balagha fit? Balagha fits in, it's the fiqh of the language. If people want to know what balagha is, it's the fiqh of the language. And this is why they say that you should not, the problem with Arabic, with learning Arabic, is that people who have not mastered Arabic have been trying to teach it. Okay? What do I mean by that? Just because someone is Arab don't mean they know how to teach Arabic. Just because somebody knows English don't mean they can teach English. Right?
Right.
You got to be an English major to teach English, don't you? Say likewise, you have to be an Arabic major in order to teach Arabic properly. And not only that, if you really want to teach it, you got to be able to know the language of the people you're teaching it to. So you can say, this is how you say that in English, and this is what it means in Arabic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so with the absence of that, you get a lot of things confused. So, this is what we're studying. The status of the Inquisition. The study. Inquisition means study. Say it. Inquisition is what? Study or questioning, right? Right, the research. What's the status of speaking Arabic? Boys, stand up.
It's mandatory for us to speak.
It's half.
What's the status, not the rule?
High, very high.
It's a high status because you get treated with more respect when you speak Arabic, don't you? Okay? So you get it gives you a higher status. It breaks this difference that we have with our brothers from overseas.
Nah.
Because one of the big reasons that we have this us and them mentality is because we're not speaking the same language. You know, and we're used to having to speak English in front of it. All of our issues are out in public. We never get to have a private conversation. Seriously. And we have to phase it differently because everybody's holding our stuff. But that's our problem. We have inherited and haven't fixed it. It's like getting a house and it's got a hole in the roof and you're complaining you got the house, but it's got a hole in the roof, and instead of closing the hole, you just live with the hole in the house. No. You get my point? No. So instead of just putting it up on no door in the front of the door, you never buy a door. Say, man, everybody's always looking in our house. Get a door. Right? Take 6 months and do it. Subject matter. What's the subject matter?
Arabic.
How the Arabs spoke. Turn around. How the Arabs spoke. That's the subject matter. How they spoke, how they asked for things, how they stated their facts. Those are the main two things. You four guys do push-ups. The benefit. Come on, guys. If you don't sit up now, if you don't know what the benefit is, you're not going to do it. Reasons reap what?
Results.
Say it again.
Reasons reap results.
If you don't have a good reason, your result's going to be real nasty. What's the benefit?
Understanding the Quran, understanding Islam.
Okay, well, understanding Islam and understanding the Quran, that should be number one in your head.
No.
For yourself. Instead of someone else telling you what they think it means or what it means to them. Does that make sense?
No.
You get your own immediate spiritual high off the Quran from knowing what the words mean yourself. No. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. Its founder. Who founded the language of Arabic? Allah created it. Okay? Allah, He's the one that made everything. And He chose the Arabic language as the language from the Quran, the language of Jannah, the language of His last prophet, and the language of the believers. Right?
No.
How did it develop then? It developed and has been preserved by the Quran. The Quran has preserved the Arabic language. The Hadith have preserved the Arabic language. And the classical poetry has preserved the Arabic language. Does everybody follow me?
No.
That's how, so rap has preserved it.